Hi, Tony here from Days Out. Here I am in Denver, Colorado. You can't see behind me because it's very foggy, but that is the Rocky Mountains. Denver has got some great day trips to enjoy. Today I'm going to run you through the ones we did, so hopefully that will be useful and give you some idea of things you can do outside of Denver to have a great time. Right, before we launch into it, let's give a bit of context and a bit of background on things you probably should be aware of if you are going to consider a day trip in Denver. The first thing is hotel pickups. A lot of the tours I looked at, and indeed the ones we booked, did not offer a hotel pickup. So be aware of that because the meeting point is Union Station in just above downtown. So that's very convenient, very central. But if you are not near there, not maybe within 10-15 minutes, it can cause some problems. So we were about 25 minutes walk away. And that was a little bit tiring by the time you walk to the hotel and back from the hotel and all that kind of stuff. So be aware of that, especially because also the second point is 8:15 a.m. seems to be the pickup time. That's not crazy early, but it's probably early enough to make you feel it after 2 or 3 trips. In fact, we actually cancelled the trip on our last day because we found doing it 2 days on the trot was pretty hard. Next thing is don't expect the lap of luxury when it comes to toilet facilities. On these trips, you are going to national parks, you're going to the great outdoors, so you will find often they are outhouses, they are unisex outhouses with holes in the ground. They can get rather icky and rather yucky. So do make sure you take some hand sanitizer and possibly even some tissues as well, because yeah, these will certainly test your mettle. But when you gotta go, you gotta go. And a final thing to know, it's not a huge thing, but it's just if you're caught off guard by it, the tour guides who are very, very friendly, they will often do a little icebreaker at the start of the tour on the bus where they go do a round robin and ask everyone their name, where they're from, what they are looking forward to most in the day. Don't worry, it's all very pleasant and relaxed, but just make sure you're aware, be prepared with a few scripted lines if you're a little bit shy. Right, so let's get things started with the first tour we did, which was the small group tour of Pikes Peak and the Garden of the Gods from Denver. One good thing about this one is it is a later start, 9:45. I checked that, and that's each day. So I definitely recommend this one if you want to have a lie-in. So what happens here? Well, the first stop is Garden of the Gods. This is a 1,340 plus acre public park on the outskirts of Colorado Springs. Probably best known for the rather stunning rock formations, all the fantastic red rock. They stop here, they give you, I think it was like 45 minutes, an hour to have a wander round. There isn't a huge amount to do other than taking the scenery, which is fantastic. We had a lovely day. Keep an eye out for some of those rather brave rock climbers as well. We've got a couple of fun images of them scaling these mountain faces or rock faces, which is fantastic. Good for them. We were fortunate that it was a gloriously sunny day, so the walk was fantastic. I imagine it might get a little bit more blusterier in the winter months. So, just a short ride up from Garden of the Gods, once you're finished there, is Balanced Rock. Which I thought was pretty funky, sort of quite history of a sort of a rock precariously placed on a smaller rock. Spoiler alert: apparently they cemented it onto the smaller rock now, so it's all a little bit safer, and you don't feel scared that it's all going to collapse on your head. One word of warning though is that it's a little bit tricky to ascend. If you're not sure-footed, it might be a little bit precarious for you. I used precarious once already. Then you can also be aware that the road is pretty busy, as this is one of the main roads coming out, and the road runs right by the rock, so you are going to get quite a bit of traffic. And of course, like a lot of tourist spots, you're gonna struggle to get a picture with just you because there's usually quite a few people running around, standing and taking selfies and all that kind of stuff. So if you can, maybe get the angle right, or go when it's quiet if you wanted a picture with just you, or wait your turn. But yeah, it's a nice little stop. But onwards to a really interesting little town of Manitou Springs. Yes, so you drive along to Manitou Springs, and it is a quite, or I think it would be quite a quaint, quiet little all American type village. However, we did actually manage to stop off on the day they do their infamous Emma Crawford coffin race, which is a story about a woman who was buried up on the mountain and it rained, and then her body and her coffin swept down into the town. So the locals celebrate that each year around Halloween. That means everything was pretty rammed. So we didn't actually really manage to find anywhere for lunch. Maybe a little bit annoying. The tour guides weren't aware of this. Well, in fact, they were. They were aware of the actual event. They didn't know it was on that day. So the traffic was a bit bad, and we were a bit of a struggle to move around and find somewhere to eat. So yeah, but I've got to say, focus on the positives. Some of the costumes are absolutely fantastic, and it did look like a really good sense of community and sort of town spirit. So it was a nice experience nonetheless. Manitou Springs lies at the base of the final stop, which is Pikes Peak, which is the highest summit of the southern front range of the Rocky Mountains. So, after a pretty hairy ascent, I can tell you that there's quite a windy road up and down, and some of those sort of not sheer cliff faces, but you look down and you think, well, that could probably do some damage if we lost control of the coach. So, yeah, it might not be for the faint of heart. So probably best to sit on the left hand side as you're going up, because you're less likely to see the heights and get queasy. Anyway, so they take you to the top. Obviously, the temperature drops considerably. This is mainly just the view. The still pretty cold. There's a bit snowy on there, but you're able to sort of have a wander around, taking some of the breathtaking views. It was fantastic out there. They also have a visitor centre where you have a cafe and restroom, and there's a train as well, which goes up and down. Although we didn't quite get the chance to go on it because obviously we were on a tour guide. So you drive back down the mountain, have a nice little last stop at the lake, or the reservoir, I should say. So you can take a couple of nice pictures there and have a restroom break. They also have some of the shtick about the, what's his face, Bigfoot. Supposed to be Bigfoot country, apparently. So, yeah, there's a little statue or a carving of him there if you want to take your picture. But yeah, all freshened up and off you go. Next up, we have the Rocky Mountain National Park and Estes Park tour from Denver. Now, this was a full day tour. Yeah, a nice 8:15 pickup, I think it was. So let's see. Slow. Yes, sorry. No. Okay, that was a mistake. Anyway, so this was another 8:15 one. Nice and early for you. This drive takes you through Boulder and to various points in the national park. The drive itself is quite pleasant. You sort of go through Beaver Meadows, Sprague Lake, which was interesting, various outlooks, many parts curve overlook, and Alluvion Fan was a nice stop over that sort of cascade of water, and Horseshoe Park, and then Estes Park, which is where the elk are. So you will get to see plenty of elk wandering around if it's in season. We were just outside of the rutting season, so we didn't see any of those big elks fighting, but it's still quite fun to see them wandering through the town. I'm not going to say a huge amount about this one, to be honest, because it really is just a question of seeing the sight and taking in the scenery more than anything else. But I do have a couple of little tips for you when you actually get to Estes Park's town itself. They drop you off pretty much in the middle by this sort of greenery, so it's easy to identify. There are quite a few nice little places to eat. We went to this place, Penelope's, which was fun, specialised in burgers and sandwiches, so absolutely brilliant. They also had malt vinegar. Yes, malt vinegar in the States. I love you. They're actually brilliant. Love it. The other thing you should definitely do if you get the chance, this was kind of slightly optional, but if you met back at the van after lunch, they took you to the Stanley Hotel. Now, the Sandy Hotel is quite famous. It is the inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining. When I say the inspiration, is not to be confused with the Timberline Lodge up Mount Hood. That's where we went back in May. You can see the video here. This is the actual place where I should say, where Stephen King got lost in some winter storm and ended up coming around there. So it's a nice little historic thing. Walking around, it's got a bit of a phony maze there. The hotel is quite grand. You can go have a little wander around the bar, go down into the basement. They've got some of the props and scale models of the hotel. I think it was actually used in the TV version of The Shining. But anyway, so that's a nice little stop. Don't forget to go at the back. Go into the back. There's a nice little waterfall there, and also you'll find maybe if you're lucky, some bunny rabbits running around. We saw a bunny rabbit. It's a very little brave fella here. So that was a nice little stop off. But generally, yeah, this was just a good day to experience nature and some lovely scenery and wildlife and great outdoors. The final day trip we did was the Breckenridge Ultimate 4-day mountain tour. This was probably the most dramatic because they take you a bit further up than they do on the first Rocky Mountain, so you're going into a lot more snowy and icy conditions. But let's get started with the fun thing, which is the first stop, which is the Rocks Ampitheatre. So the amphitheatre is essentially a rather large outdoor arena that hosts concerts, comedy, music venue, and all that sort of stuff. The capacity is about 9,500. It's quite nice to walk up and down. I assume if you are going to go for a show, the seating is pretty basic, so don't expect too much in the way of luxurious facilities, but it seems to do the job. People also use it for an outdoor gym. There's quite a lot of gym sessions happening when we were there. The view also on a clear day is amazing. You can sort of see all the way to downtown Denver. They also have a museum, which was quite nice. You can have a wander around there. It was actually interesting to sort of see the list of everyone who's played that venue, and it really is the creme de la creme. Absolutely everybody you can imagine, from sort of Richard Pryor to Sting to just having the peruse around there. There's also the fact around that region, around that area, I should say, was quite a lot of archaeology happening, lots of paleontology. I think that's sort of where they found, I want to say, a Diplodocus or a Brontosaurus or something like that. But there is a little sort of section on the geology and history within the museum. So that's quite a nice little touch. We then move on from Red Rocks to the Rocky Mountains. Now, this journey, I have to say, was probably one of the best, probably one of the best journeys I've had in terms of driving through the Rocky Mountains. Just the mountains, the view all the way is just, I can't actually, lost for words. I'm lost for words. So I'll probably just be quiet for a little bit, and you can have a quick look and take in the scenery. One of the highlights of the drive is the stop off at Loveland Pass. Loveland Pass is where you go over the mountain. So you go from the east side to the west side. And this is great. This is where we saw the most snow. And this is considerably more dramatic. If you compare it to the Rocky National Park tour we did previously, that was not snow capped. So very different types. But I think the snow adds a little bit of sort of drama. I would say have a good wander around. There's plenty of sort of spaces to have a view out, which is good. There is this kind of mound which you can walk to the top of and get a little panoramic view, which I tried to do, but it was super windy. I'll give you a clue by letting the audio speak for itself. So I would recommend not going up there if you're a little bit delicate or light on your feet or anything like that. We had a couple of people on our tour who sort of went up a couple of steps, and on as I was coming on the way down, it's like, no, seriously, it's pretty hairy up there. So keep your wits about you and say that don't do anything that puts you in any kind of danger. So we get back onto the bus and head off to our next stop, which is Sapphire Point Overlook. This was again a very pleasant drive along, and you see the lake and some of the dramatic landscapes. The lookout point is pretty good, but just so you can do a loop of the whole of the sort of section or the park or whatever it is. However, be aware that there are quite a lot of trees around, so your view is going to get a bit obscured, and you're not going to get the greatest pictures or videos. Even so, it's still quite a fun place to have a little wander around and stretch your legs. Back then into the van once again, and another pleasant descent into Breckenridge town. Breckenridge is quite a nice little quaint town, lots of ski resorts and that kind of stuff in the vicinity. The town itself is kind of what you'd expect. There isn't a huge amount to do there, if I'm being completely honest. We had a wander around a little river walk, although the snow soon came in and it got pretty chilly as we wandered around and needed to find some shade. There, luckily, it is a great location because there's plenty of sportswear shops. So if you are caught short in a snowstorm, then you have plenty of options in terms of buying some durable clothes. There are quite a few little options for lunch. We actually ended up going to this place, Columbine Cafe, as it seemed pretty reasonable. Not the cheapest of little towns, if I'm being honest, but they did an absolutely fantastic jack of potato. So shout out to Columbine. So anyway, once the snow subsided, the weather got considerably better, and the views of the Rocky Mountains, the backdrop came out, and that was a nice way to finish this trip. There is also a little museum there which has a restroom in it, so that's where they dropped us off. So that's the center point to start and finish your little jaunt to Breckenridge. Anyway, I hope that was okay. Those are the fun things we did in Denver. I really hope you get to go and visit them and enjoy these sort of things too. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.